arrogance. We were shaped by cold seas, hard ground, and blood ties that do not break. They named us beasts because they could not control us. They feared our women, our fury, our refusal to kneel. When hunger comes, when law fails, when the bear was us and the wolves answer our call, naturally we rise. We always rise. Wind, breath, distant wolves. Before law, there was hunger. Hands gripping axes, women and men painting skin with ash. Before kings, there was kin. They came with numbers, with banners, with rules written far from this land. They thought strength was noise, that fear lived only in men. They did not understand what walks beside us, what runs in our blood. Our women stood unbroken. Our rage was learned, not given. And when the moment came, we did not hesitate. Warrior woman and men of the Guatr, hold now! Wolves running through forest shadow! They call us monsters! Look at themselves! We were here before them! They forget who taught the world to fear! Rapid berserkers breaking ranks! A woman bites her shield, screams, kills! Firelight on faces, rage and control colliding! When the blood sings, we answer! Enemy line forming, fear in their eyes! Enemy everywhere, trust no one, they don't stop! It's true history of the blood of the Guatr, southern Sweden, from the end of the Ice Age. This is what happens when you push a people past endurance and too far. The sea remembers, the land remembers. So do we! This is not conquest. Guatr, Haldan, Standan. We hold, we rise, Guatr! This is survival. Guatr, Haldan, Standan. We hold, we stand, we endure.
The Guatr arise from the southern lands of what will later be called Sweden, formed at the edge of retreating ice. They are not migrants chasing opportunity, but a people shaped in place as the land released itself from ice and demanded endurance in return. From this pressure came the law that precedes kings, the memory that precedes writing, and the kin structure that will later be mistaken for Viking. What follows is not the beginning of legend, but the continuation of a people who were already standing when the ice withdrew. The Guatr are not drawn from mythology, but from historical reality and pressure-based survival at the end of the Ice Age in southern Sweden. They emerge as a people shaped by land retreating from ice, where endurance, restraint, and collective obligation determined survival long before kingdoms, names, or written history. The bear comes before the wolf because weight precedes speed. Endurance precedes adaptation. Law is established through holding ground before it is tested through movement. The bear represents stillness, pressure, and the first ordering of survival. The wolf comes later, as response, strategy, and change. Guatr law is born from land, not gods. The earth teaches what must be done through cold, hunger, and consequence. Gods are not rulers or speakers, but forces felt through pressure, absence, and demand. No command is given that the land has not already enforced. Runes are not writing. They are memory held in form as law carved to endure when breath and voice cannot. Each mark records obligation, survival, and truth, learned through cost, not symbol or story. The Guatr are an original southern Scandinavian people, present since the ice withdrew, and the ancestral foundation from which the later Viking Age emerges. What follows is not the birth of Vikings, but the deep structure that made them possible. Guatr Haldan Standan. We hold, we stand, we rise. Guatr never underestimate the power of the land.
Already running, not pursuit, not fear, pressure. Run. Vast, desolate winter landscape. 4 figures running across a frozen river valley, their forms small against the immense white expanse. Dark storm clouds gather overhead. The ice beneath them shows stress patterns and dark water visible through thin sections. Run because the ground skrukoth. Deep and wrong, a soaked, tearing howl felt first in bone and joint before it ever reaches the ear. Not a crack, not a snap. A long, wet rending, as if the land's own hide is being stripped from muscle, fell to from flesko, skin dragged screaming from flesh. Ice grips river and stone with slow, murderous patience. Ice as, hard, tightening, suffocating. It does not break clean, it rasanth, peels. Large ice plates breaking away and sliding into dark water. White ice exploding into grey spray before disappearing into black water that steams and churns. Broad, chalk-white plates shear loose and slide away, their undersides slick and glassy, collapsing into ink-black water that churns and steams like a living throat forced open, sucking in everything in its path. Black. Windskins exposed flesh raw. Thin, slicing blades rake cheeks, wrists, the soft hinge beneath the jaw. Snyder calder. Knife cold. Salt bitter. Labored breathing. Visible vapor clouds with each exhale. The breathing is ragged and desperate. Breath rasps out in short, torn bursts. Ando, ripped from the chest, scraped thin, leaving a metallic tang of copper on tongue and teeth. Rrrk. The sound claws its way out of him, raw and uncontrolled. Air torn through a throat already burning, already flayed. Slip, catch, slip again, run. Snow lies deceptively soft, collapsing into sucking drag. Ice lies smooth, blind, murderous. Beneath the thin skin, the water runs fast. Swartaz, black muscle flexing and coiling, slick and hungry, pulling downward, demanding weight, demanding bone, demanding him. No one looks back. Looking back breaks further. The forward drive that keeps flesh warm and breathing. Haldan runs with his head low, spine pitched forward, weight committed. His feet read ground before thought, toes biting, heels skidding. Crust snaps underfoot into wet drag, legs running, the cold creeping upward. Ice crystals form on clothing, and the movement becomes slightly more labored. Cold chews upward from ankle to knee, gnawing, numbing, deadening. Stopping would let it climb higher. Stopping would let it settle. Her vor from behind, her broad back dark with sweat and frost. Her shoulders roll with each stride, arms pumping steadily. Her breathing is controlled and rhythmic. Ahead, her vor sets the pace. Her broad back dark with sweat and frost, shoulders rolled, arms pumping steady and deep. Her breath is slow, controlled, thick in her chest. Law in motion. Asa ghosts the flank, spear angled low, shaft humming faintly with each stride. She counts distance without numbers, eyes narrowed, jaw set. Solveig running at the rear, axe secured across her back. She watches the group dynamics, adjusting her position to maintain formation without speaking. Solveig runs last, axe riding easy across her back, leather creaking, watching gait, strain, weakness. She adjusts without speaking, closes gaps, shifts weight. They run because the land is tightening. They run because it always does. Ahead, stone punches through white, dark, jagged, scarred, Stainaz. True stone. He throws himself onto it with a broken bark. Grah! His chest slams hard enough to burst breath from him in a dry, choking grunt. Ribs flare with sharp, white pain. Close-up of Renan's face against the stone. Blood beads bright on his scraped cheek and jaw, then quickly dulls and freezes, stiffening his skin. Stone scrapes cheek and jaw. Blood beads bright and wet, then dulls, freezing as it forms, stiffening skin. Behind him, only collapse. White explodes into grey spray. Grey vanishes into black water. The roar swells, thick and furious, then rushes away downstream. The ice is gone. The stone stands. Rinan, forward is law, law of the land. The land does not explain itself. It repeats. The stone has held. The ice has yielded. The river has taken what it was owed and moved on. This place will remember. Not in story, not in sound. In pressure returned the same way it was given. They do not touch it yet. They do not speak it aloud. The law is not ready for voice. For now, it is enough that the land has shown what endures and what does not. enough that weight was tested and something remained. The group begins to move again, but their movements are different now, more careful, more aware. They carry the lesson in their bodies. The lesson is carried forward in muscle and breath, in how feet choose ground, in how bodies lean when the cold presses back. What is learned here does not stay here, it moves with them. Guatr, Haldan, Standan, we hold, we stand, we rise.
Guatr, Haldan, Standan! Before the world learned order, we learned endurance. We were shaped by cold seas, hard ground, and blood ties that do not break. They named us beasts because they could not control us. They feared our women, our fury, our refusal to kneel. When hunger comes, when law fails, when the bear was us and the wolves answer our call, naturally we rise. We always rise. Wind, breath, distant wolves. Before law, there was hunger. Hands gripping axes, women and men painting skin with ash. Before kings, there was kin. They came with numbers, with banners, with rules written far from this land. They thought strength was noise, that fear lived only in men. They did not understand what walks beside us, what runs in our blood. Our women stood unbroken. Our rage was learned, not given. And when the moment came, we did not hesitate. Warrior woman and men of the Guatr, hold now! Wolves running through forest shadow! They call us monsters! Look at themselves! We were here before them! They forget who taught the world to fear! Rapid berserkers breaking ranks! A woman bites her shield, screams, kills! Firelight on faces, rage and control colliding. When the blood sings, we answer. Enemy line forming, fear in their eyes. Enemy everywhere, trust no one, they don't stop. It's true history of the blood of the Guatr, southern Sweden, from the end of the Ice Age. This is what happens when you push a people past endurance and too far. The sea remembers, the land remembers. So do we. This is not conquest. Guatr, Haldan, Standan, we hold, we rise, Guatr! This is survival! Guatr, Haldan, Standan, we hold, we stand, we endure!
Part 2. Further. They move again without signal, not all at once, not fast. Movement returns the way breath returns after drowning. Shallow at first, burning, taken in sharp fragments that scrape the chest raw, then deeper, steadier, claimed without asking permission. Bodies peel themselves from stone and ice. Fingers tear loose with small animal sounds of pain that vanish into wind before they can become complaint. Cold still grips them, but it no longer surprises. It settles instead. Heavy, familiar, a weight that must be carried forward or allowed to hollow the bones. Blood knocks slow and thick in fingers and toes. Muscles protest, then obey. Herva goes first, not because she is strongest, but because she reads the ground without seeking certainty. Her feet test rather than trust. Weight shifts, ice answers, or it does not. She adjusts without pause. She shortens stride, widens stance, lets resistance speak where sound cannot. Her breath is even, measured, thick in her chest, fogging once, then not at all. Asa follows where the line bends. She keeps the space from collapsing, shoulder and hip angled to catch the stumble before it becomes loss. Her spear rides low and quiet. The shaft hums faintly with each step. Her eyes never search faces. They track motion only. The tremor in a knee, the lag of a heel, the place where ice thins without warning. Solveig runs last. She watches what breaks behind them. She counts without numbers. Who moves, who slows, who bleeds. She notes where breath turns ragged, where balance slips, where strength begins to lie. What can be carried forward? What must be surrendered to the land? She adjusts without speaking, closes gaps, shifts weight from one body to another as if redistributing burden. The kin stretches out, then tightens again, moving as one body under strain, pulled thin, burning, unbroken. No one speaks. Sound would steal breath. Breath is currency. It must be spent where it matters and nowhere else. Stopping is not rest. Stopping is decision. Ice lies thinner ahead. Skin stretched tight over fast, lethal water. It hums beneath their feet. A low vibration felt through bone and tendon. They cross it anyway. Forward is not chosen. It is enforced. Each step spends something. Warmth, balance, strength. Each step earns the next by refusing to pause. Pain sharpens, then dulls. The body learns which signals can be ignored and which must be obeyed. Shoulders burn, thighs ache, lungs scrape. None of it is new. The land has taught this lesson before. It will teach it again. The rune later named Fehu lives here, not as wealth, not as possession, but as life held in motion. Warmth passed from body to body through proximity. Survival measured not by what is taken, but by what remains moving together. One slips. Hands close. The line tightens. No praise, no pause. The land watches again. Patient. Cold. Waiting to see if the lesson will be forgotten. Waiting to see if weight will be wasted or carried with care. They do not forget. They move. The forward drive holds. Part 3. The land answers. The land answers without sound. It answers by tightening. The slope lifts beneath their feet. Snow hardens into a crust that holds weight for a breath and then betrays it. Trees thin. Wind sharpens. Air presses downward as if the sky itself has lowered its hand. Breath thickens in the chest. Each inhale feels measured. Each exhale costs something. The ground is no longer neutral. It judges. The wolves appear first, not rushing, not closing. Grey forms against grey ground, still enough to be mistaken for stone until breath fogs and fades. One shape, then another, then more. Eyes pale and steady, bodies aligned with the slope, weight placed with care. They do not fan out. They do not test the line. They stand where the land breaks and watch movement cross it. The kin does not stop. Wolves understand motion. They do not waste it. This is not pursuit. This is not threat. This is recognition. Lives passing through a boundary neither side names. No hand reaches for a weapon. No signal passes. The wolves track weight, not flesh. They read breath and balance and the way feet choose ground. Hunger does not enter it. Fear does not enter it. This is not a hunt. This is Ferda meeting itself from another angle. As the kin moves forward, the pressure deepens. Then the bear enters the system of weight. It does not arrive with speed. It does not break cover. It is already there when it is noticed. Mass rises where the slope swells. Fur dark with ice melt and soil. Shoulder wide and unmoving. Breath rolls thick and wet from a chest that presses air downward and leaves it there. Each exhale settles into bone. Each inhale pulls the cold inward and holds it. Everything slows, steps shorten, breath deepens. This is not the sharp danger of failing ice. This is Uru's. Raw force without direction. Strength that does not need motion because motion will come to it. The bear stands. Snow compresses beneath its weight. Ice tightens its skin. The land firms around it as if answering an older agreement. The wolves turn their heads. Their attention shifts. They understand this better than hunger. The kin stops. Not in panic. In control. Bodies lower their center. Breath is taken deep and held. Shoulders settle. Eyes do not meet the bear's eyes. Recognition passes without challenge. The space between them thickens and holds. The bear turns its head once. Slow, measuring. Breath steams heavy and low. The sound presses into the chest and lingers there. Then it moves, not toward them, across them. The ice answers wrong, not with a crack, with a groan. The sound sinks deep and drags long. Permission withdraws, balance leaves, weight slips out of alignment. The land does not shout, it decides. The bear does not understand this. The land does. Ice yields beneath the mass it has been carrying. Water opens dark and fast. Fur vanishes. Breath cuts short. The surface churns once, then closes. Ice seals. Silence drops. Not peace. Suspension. No one moves. No one steps toward the place where it vanished. That ground is not theirs. It belongs to the lesson that has been given. The river takes what it was owed and moves on without witness. The wolves remain still. One turns away, then another. The forest closes its attention. Pressure eases but does not leave. What remains is not the bear. What remains is weight remembered. The land has shown what it carries and what it does not. Strength alone does not command it. Speed does not impress it. Only balance and endurance remain. No prayer follows, no thanks. The lesson enters the body instead. It settles into muscle and breath, into the way feet will choose ground from this day forward, into how weight will be placed and how it will be withheld, into how stopping will be understood. This is not death as punishment. This is law made visible. The bear is not claimed. The place is not marked. That comes later. For now it is enough that something was tested and something remained. Enough that the land answered and the answer was received. The kin moves again when breath allows it, not faster, not lighter, but changed. The land has spoken. Guatr Haldan Standan to hold to stand. We rise, we continue. Part 4. Below, the weight. The land does not release what it takes. It holds. The place where the bear vanished remains closed. Ice smooths itself, water quiets. Snow settles back into its own shape as if nothing has happened. The surface gives no sign. The land does not mark its work. Cold presses in heavier now, not sharper, heavier. It sinks into muscle and bone and stays there. Breath clouds thick and low. The air tastes damp and ironed flat. Sound feels distant as if wrapped in hide. They stand without signal, not waiting, listening. No one steps forward. No one tests the ice. That ground belongs to the weight that was taken. To touch it would be to argue with what has already been decided. Haldan feels the pull in his chest first. Not grief, not fear, obligation. A dull pressure that does not ask permission. His breath slows, his shoulders settle. The land has claimed something. That claim now reaches outward. This is Barrow. Not strength, not fury. Weight born and answered. The place tightens around them. Snow firms. Ice draws close. The land holds them where they stand and measures what remains. Breath, balance, stillness. Her vor shifts first. Not forward, not back. She lowers her center, knees bend. Weight drops into the soles of her feet. Her hands open, empty. Her breath moves slow and deep. She does not look at the place where the bear went under. She looks at the ground that still holds. Asa mirrors the motion. She angles her body to the slope. She tests the snow with the ball of her foot. Not to move, to feel. The spear stays low, quiet. Its point does not seek anything. It waits. Solveig steps wide. She marks the space with her body rather than with sound. She watches the line. She counts without numbers. Who still shakes? Who breathes too fast? Who leans too hard on one side? The kin lowers together, not kneeling, not bowing, accepting. The land does not demand words, it demands return. The bear is not theirs to take. It was never theirs to claim. It belonged to the weight of this place. The land carried it until it no longer could. Then it took it back. No blade touched it. No hand finished it. This matters. The lesson settles into flesh. Strength alone does not command the land. Mass without balance is only burden. What endures is what knows when to stop and when to yield. The wolves do not return. They have already received what they needed. They will carry it forward in their own way. That comes later. For now, there is only the weight. Haldan feels it in his spine, a downward pull that steadies rather than crushes. His breath slows until it matches the cold. The ache in his ribs dulls. Pain becomes information rather than threat. The land has given an order without speaking. Hold. They remain until the pressure eases, not because it vanishes, but because they have answered it correctly. The cold loosens its grip by degrees. Breath comes easier. The air lifts slightly. Only then do they move. Not quickly, not lightly. They circle the place without crossing it. They widen their path. They give the ground space. This is not avoidance. This is respect earned through consequence. Later there will be binding. Later there will be marking. Stone will be cut. Memory will be fixed where it can be returned to. That does not happen yet. First comes carrying. They leave nothing behind but compressed snow and the trace of their weight. The land smooths even that away. It does not keep reminders where they are not needed. What remains is not visible. It sits in muscle and breath, in how feet will choose ground, in how strength will be held back until it is asked for, in how stopping will no longer mean failure. This is the bear law. Not kill, not conquest, endurance. The land has taken. The kin has answered. Barreau holds. Part 5. After the fall. The land loosens its grip by degrees. Not release. Allowance. Cold eases first in the fingers. Pain follows later, creeping back into joints and ribs as warmth returns enough to make sensation honest again. Breath deepens. The chest expands without scraping. The sound of it feels loud now in the quiet that remains. They stand longer than needed. No one is first to move. After wait comes accounting. The place where the bear went under stays closed. Ice smooth, snow unbroken, water silent beneath. The land has finished speaking there. What remains is not spectacle. It is obligation carried outward. Haldan feels it settle behind his eyes and low in his gut. Not fear, not grief. Responsibility. A pressure that demands shape. His breath steadies until it matches the others. His hands ache. The skin across his knuckles has split and sealed again. Blood has dried dark and stiff. This will matter later. Hervor shifts her stance. She rolls her shoulders once. The movement loosens something tight and locked. She looks along the slope and then back to the line. Her eyes are clear, not searching, counting. Asa steps closer to the others. She keeps her spear low and quiet. The point never touches the ground. She adjusts her grip until her hands stop trembling. She breathes through her nose. Slow, even. Solveig moves last. She always does. She checks the line with her eyes and with the set of her shoulders. Who favors one side? Who drags a foot? Who keeps breath shallow? She memorizes it. This knowledge will not be spoken. The kin gathers inward, not tight, together. They do not look back at the place of taking. That ground has already been answered. To stare would be to ask again. The land does not repeat itself unless asked to. Haldan bends and presses his palm to the snow. Not as mark, not as thanks. Contact only. The cold bites sharp and clean. He lets it. This is not ritual. This is acknowledgement. The land holds the touch and gives nothing back. That is enough. They begin to bind what remains. Cloth comes out stiff with frost. Fingers work slow and clumsy at first. The ache in the ribs sharpens as Haldan lifts his arm. He breathes through it. He does not stop. Hervor tightens the wrap with steady pressure. Not too much, not too little. Balance again. Asa checks feet and ankles. She clears ice from leather. She tightens straps. She does not hurry. Cold punished haste earlier. It will do so again if given the chance. Solveig counts supplies without counting. She notes weight and absence. What was lost to the water, what was broken, what remained serviceable. This is not scarcity yet. It is awareness. The land watches but does not press. After comes movement. They choose a path that widens around the taken place. They do not shorten distance. They lengthen it. They give the ground room to remain what it is. This too is law. The air changes as they move. Wind shifts. Snow softens slightly. The sound of it underfoot changes from brittle to muted. Breath fogs and then clears. The land accepts their direction. Behind them nothing remains to see. Ahead the day stretches thin and pale. No words are spoken. They do not need to be. What happened has entered the body. It has found its place in muscle and breath. In the way shoulders carry weight. In the way steps are set down. In the way stopping will now mean something else. Later there will be marking. Later there will be stone cut and memory fixed where it can be returned to. Later the bear will be named without taking its flesh. Later obligation will be taught to those who were carried through this place. Not now. Now they move. Not lighter, not heavier. Responsible. The land has taken. The land has been answered. What remains is to carry it forward. Part 6. The first rune. The stone is not found. It is returned to. It stands where water once pressed and then withdrew. Ice has scoured its sides smooth. Snow gathers at its base and slides away again. The surface is blank, dark, dense. It does not invite touch. It waits. They approach without signal, not together, not fast. The land does not tighten here. It holds steady. Cold is present, but no longer punishing. Wind passes without cutting. Breath comes clean. This place has already decided it will allow what follows. Haldan feels the pull in his hands first. A dull ache beneath the skin where bone remembers impact. Fingers sting as they warm. He opens and closes them slowly. The stone draws his attention without calling it. This is not choosing. This is obligation answered. Hervor circles the stone once. She does not measure its height. She studies its grain, where water has eaten lines into the surface, where ice has failed to leave a mark. She presses her boot into the snow at its base. The ground is firm. This place will hold. Asa brushes snow from the lower face of the stone with the flat of her hand. Cold bites sharp and clean. She does not pull away. The stone gives nothing back. That is right. Solveig steps back and watches. She counts without numbers. Who stands close? Who holds distance? Who breathes too fast? This is not ceremony yet. It is alignment. The land remains quiet. Haldan kneels, not to bow, to steady. He takes the tool from where it has been carried since before this place had a name. Stone edge against stone body. Hard meets harder. His grip shifts until weight feels true. The ache in his ribs flares. He breathes through it. He does not rush. The first strike is light, testing. Sound snaps sharp and brief. A clean report that carries a short distance and then stops. The stone resists. It does not fracture. It accepts contact and remains itself. Haldan strikes again. This time the edge bites. A pale line appears. Thin, uneven, shallow. Not letter, not sign. A memory beginning to take shape. This is not writing. This is rider held inside Uruz. Movement cut into endurance. What crossed the land and what the land took. Pressure answered by balance. Each strike costs breath. Cold creeps back into the fingers. Pain sharpens where skin has split again. Blood beads and darkens. It freezes almost as it forms. The stone takes none of it. The mark remains clean. Hervor steps closer. She watches the cut deepen. She does not guide his hand. She does not correct. This is not instruction. This is witness. Asa shifts her stance to block the wind. Not for comfort, for steadiness. The sound of stone on stone becomes regular, measured. Breath times itself to impact. Solveig watches the line emerge. She memorizes its shape, not to repeat it, to recognize it later when it returns. The rune is not named. Naming comes after survival. The cut grows deeper. It curves slightly where the stone's grain turns. The land insists on its own shape. Haldan follows it. He does not force the line straight. What is remembered must match what happened. The work ends when breath runs low, not when the shape is finished, not when pain demands it, when the land allows stopping. Haldan lowers the tool. His hands shake now, not from fear, from release. He presses his palm to the stone once. The cold burns. He lets it. The land accepts contact and nothing more. The rune stands. Not bright. Not clean. True. It does not explain itself. It does not tell a story. It holds pressure where it was placed. It will return it when touched by those who know how to read with the body. This is the first rune. Not invention. Not symbol. Memory anchored where the land agreed to keep it. They step back together. No words are spoken. None are needed. The mark will outlast voice. Snow begins to fall again. Light, dry. It settles into the cut and does not fill it. The line remains visible beneath the white. The land has taken memory into itself. What comes next will answer to it. The land is the law. It has power. The land has strength. More than any human, Guatr, Haldan, Standan, we hold, we stand, we rise, Guatr.